So starting off in the 3rd sea, you spawn in an island called Port Town, and this is for people that go from level 1500 to 1557. But if you're under level 1500, then you literally cannot be in the 3rd sea. Starting off, the first NPC we got here is the Pirate Millionaire. This is a level 1500 NPC that uses a Bicento V1 as their weapon. They have a total of 14,500 health and deal around 1,100 to 1,300 damage per hit, making them pretty powerful. Next NPCs we got are the Pistol Billionaires, and these guys are level 1525, and they use a musket as their weapon. Each of these guys has a total of 14,725 HP, and they do around 1,373 damage per hit, making them really powerful. Once you complete the quest for these guys, you get a total of 55,500,000 XP along with 15,000 belly. Overall, pretty solid NPCs. Then we got the very first boss in the 3rd sea. This is the Stone Boss. He's a level 1550 boss, and he has around 97,750 health, and he does 1.5 thousand damage per hit. But once you complete the quest for this guy, you get 25,000 belly along with 60 million XP. And he also has a chance of dropping the pilot helmet, but it's only a 1 to 10, so you're gonna have to grind him a butt ton if you want it. So next island we're moving on to is called the Hydra Island, and something I should probably mention is that every island in the 3rd sea is literally massive. They're literally like 5 times the size of a normal 1st sea island. They're super huge. The Hydra Island is for people that go from level 1575 to 1700, and this island has 2 different quest givers. The first NPC you fight here is called the Dragon Crew Warrior. These pirates are level 1575, and they use a long sword as their weapon. Each one has a total of 15,175 HP, and they do around 1,400 damage per hit. To accept the quest for these guys, you have to be at least level 1575, and once you complete it, you get a total of 13,000 belly along with 58 million XP. Definitely making that worth it. Moving on to the next NPC, this one is called the Dragon Crew Archer, and this NPC is level 1600, and they have a total of 15,600 HP, and they deal around 650 damage per hit, but they punch pretty fast. Once you complete the quest for these guys, you get 15,000 belly along with 60,500,000 XP. Now we're going on to the next quest giver at this island, and the first one is the Female Islander. Female Islanders have 16,125 HP each, and they do around 1,100 damage per hit. To accept the quest for these guys, you have to be at least level 1625, and once you complete it, you get 13,000 belly along with 62,500,000 XP. Next NPC is the Giant Islander. The Giant Islanders are exactly what they sound like. They're literally giants, and these guys use the basic combat style as a weapon, but don't let that fool you. They're really powerful. To accept the quest for these guys, you should be at least around level 1650, and once you complete that, you get 15,000 belly along with 64,500,000 XP. Next up, we got the boss of the Hydra Island, the Island Empress herself. This boss has a total of 130,000 HP and does around 1,100 damage per hit. She also uses the love fruit as a weapon a lot, but she can only use the old version of it, and that's actually a fruit you can't get anymore. She also has a 2 to 5% chance of dropping the serpent bow, which is a pretty decent gun for starting off in the 3rd sea. To fight this boss, it's recommended to be at least level 1675, and once you complete the quest for her, you get 70 million XP along with 30,000 belly. Overall, a pretty solid boss. But let's go to the next island. Okay, so the next island we're going to is called the Great Tree, and this island surprisingly only has 1 quest giver, and that's crazy considering how massive this island is. To be on this island is recommended to be at least level 1700 to level 1775. And the first NPC we got on this island is the Marine Commodore. The Marine Commodores are enemies that are level 1700, and obviously they can use hockey since they're in the 3rd sea. And to complete the quest for these guys, you have to defeat a total of 8 of them. And once you do that, you get 13,000 belly along with 68 million XP. And these NPCs are pretty tough. They dual wield katanas as their weapons, and they have a total of 16,500 HP each. And they also dish out a good amount of damage. Next NPCs we got are called the Marine Rear Admirals, and these guys are level 1725. And they use the basic combat style as their weapon, but don't let that fool you because they're really powerful. These guys have a total of 16,825 HP, and they dish out a high amount of damage per hit. To fight these guys, it's recommended to be at least level 1725, and once you complete the quest for them, you get 70,500,000 XP along with 15,000 belly. Finally, we're moving on to the boss, and this one is actually kind of funny. It's the Kilo Admiral, which makes no sense because how would someone with the Kilo fruit end up being an admiral? But anyways, this boss is pretty solid. She has a total of 138,000 HP and does around 1,200 damage per hit, and obviously she uses the Kilo fruit. And once you complete the quest for this admiral, you get 35,000 belly along with 78 million XP. But this boss actually cannot use every ability of the Kilo fruit. She can just use the X and C abilities, and even though it's the Kilo fruit, they dish out a lot of damage. And obviously this boss spawns in every 30 minutes just like most other bosses in the game. But But that's it for the Great Tree. Let's go to the next island. Alright, moving on to the next island. This one is called the Floating Turtle, and this is one of the craziest islands in the third sea. And the reason I say that is because this island has not one, not two, but three different quest givers, making you have to fight a huge amount of NPCs until you're done with this island. And this island is recommended for people that go from level 1775 to level 1975. So you already know it's crazy. You have to gain 200 levels at this island. But then again, it's pretty massive, so there's place for everything. The first NPC we got here is the Fishman Raider. The Fishman Raiders are level 1775 NPCs, and they use the shark sword as a weapon, and normally the X skill. And they obviously also drop fishtails since they're fishmen, which kind of makes sense. Once you complete the quest for these guys, you get 73 million XP along with 13,000 belly. These guys have a total of 7,375 health, and they dish out a whopping 1,500 damage per hit, making them pretty powerful as starting NPCs on this island. Next NPCs we got are the Fishman Captains, and these are kind of just better versions of the NPCs from before. These guys obviously drop fishtails as well. To fight them, it's recommended to be at least level 1,800, and these guys use a trident as their weapon. You remember that boss from the first sea, the Fishman Lord? Well, they all have this now, and they can use all the abilities from it, the trident throw and the water pulse. Once you complete the quest for these guys, have a whopping 17,700 HP each, and they do around 2,000 damage per hit, making them really powerful. Once you complete the quest for these guys, you get 15,000 belly along with 75,500,000 XP, definitely making that grind worth it. Moving on to the next quest giver, we got the Forest Pirates, and these NPCs are level 1,825. They were added in update 15, and they use katanas as their weapon. Obviously they got hockey as well. These guys each have a whopping 17,625 HP, and they do around 960 damage per hit. Once you complete the quest for these guys, you get a total of 78 million XP along with 13,000 belly. Next NPCs are called the Mythological Pirates. To fight these guys, it's recommended to be at least level 1,850. And these guys actually have the electric fighting style, and then you can use the X and C moves from it, but not the Z one. That would just make it way too OP and pretty difficult to fight. These guys have a total of 17,250 HP, and they do around 1,500 damage per hit. But once you complete the quest for these guys, you get 13,000 belly, 81 million XP, and a mini tusk. Moving on, we got our first boss on this island, Captain Elephant. And everyone loves this boss. He literally looks like an elephant. And the weapon he uses are called the twin hooks. And these are pretty decent swords. This guy has a total of 160,000 HP, and he does around 2,300 damage per hit, making him a really overpowered boss. He uses two different abilities. The first one is called Prehistoric Poot, and the other one is called Sky Cyclone. And these abilities are both pretty decent. Once you complete the quest for this guy, you get a whopping 90 million XP along with 40,000 belly. But that's not it for this island. We got a bunch more NPCs coming up. The next ones are called Jungle Pirates. These guys were added in update 15, and they're level 1,900. These guys use the Dark Step fighting style as their weapon. Each of these guys has 18,000 HP, and they do around 1,347 damage per hit. They also give you extra drops like scrap metal and leather, which come in handy when upgrading weapons. To fight these guys, it's recommended to be at least level 1,900, and once you complete the quest for them, you get 13,000 belly along with 85 million XP. Next NPCs we got are called the Musketeer Pirates. These guys are level 1,925. They all use the Cavender sword, but not any of its special attacks, just the sword itself. Each of these guys has 18,225 HP, and they dish out 2,079 damage per hit. Once you complete the quest for these guys, you get 15,000 belly along with 89,500,000 XP. And finally, we got the last boss of the Floating Turtle, the beautiful pirate himself. This is a level 1,950 boss who uses the Cavender sword as a weapon, and he also has a 5% chance to drop it after you defeat him. And once he's actually on low health, he'll turn into his second form, which makes him a lot more powerful. This guy has a total of 320,000 HP and does around 2,100 damage per hit. And he can actually use both the abilities from the Cavender sword. The first one is called Piercing Dash, and the other one is called Scattering Gust. And overall, this is a really solid island just because of the variety of NPCs that are on there. But let's go to the next one. Next island we're moving on to is called the Haunted Castle, and this one is not really an island, it's just a super massive boat. You can tell it's a boat because of the massive pirate flag, and it's also kind of shaped like a weird boat. But people on this island go from level 1,975 to level 2,075. And the very first NPCs we got here are the Reborn Skeletons. These guys were added in update 18, and they drop around 1 to 3 bones. These guys also use the Dark Step fighting styles X and Z moves. Each skeleton has a total of 18,575 HP, and they do around 1,240 to 1,470 damage per hit, making them pretty powerful. Once you complete the quest for these guys, you get a total of 91 million XP along with 13,000 belly. Next NPCs are called the living zombies, and these guys were also added in update 16, and they also drop 2 to 4 bones. However, the crucial difference is that these guys use the superhuman fighting style, and they can also use the flash step ability, making them pretty annoying to fight. Each of these guys has 18,800 health, and they do around 1,557 damage per hit. To fight these guys, it's recommended to be at least level 2,000, and once you complete the quest for them, you get 13,250 belly, along with 93,500,000 XP. Moving on to the next quest giver, the first quest he gives you is for the demonic souls. These guys are NPCs that are level 2,025, and they have a total of 20,250 HP, and they do around 600 damage per hit. But don't let that fool you, because they punch really fast. To accept the quest for these guys, you should be at least level 2025, and once you kill them, you get a whopping 95 million XP along with 13,500 belly. And the final NPCs for this island are the possessed mummies. The possessed mummies are NPCs that are level 2050, and they drop around 4 to 6 bones. And the cool thing about these guys is that they actually use a dark food. They can use the Z ability and the C ability from that food, making them really annoying to fight against. Each of these guys has a total of 19,250 HP, and they do around 1,000 damage per hit. But once you complete the quest for them, you get 98,500,000 XP along with 13,750 belly. Next place we're going to is called the Sea of Treats, and notice how I did say islands. Well, that's because it's not actually one island. It's just an area that's composed of a bunch of different small islands, and that's why it's called the Sea of Treats. And this is for people that go from level 2075 to level 2450. And the very first NPC we got here is located on an island in this area called the Peanut Scout. Very fitting name if you ask me. This NPC uses a cutlass as his weapon, and he can use the X and Z ability from it. He has a total of 19,475 health and does around 800 to 900 damage per hit. To fight this guy, it's recommended to be at least level 2075, and once you complete the quest for him, you get 14,000 belly along with 100 million XP. Kinda worth it if you ask me. Next guy is called the Peanut President, and I guess he's supposed to be the president of Peanut Land? I don't know, bro. Don't ask me. This guy has a total of 19,700 health, and he does 1,134 damage per hit. To fight this guy, it's recommended to be at least level 2,100, and once you defeat him, you get 14,100 belly along with 102,500,000 XP. So next island we're going to is called Ice Cream Land, and the first NPC at this island is the Ice Cream Chef. This NPC is level 2,125, was added in update 17, and uses the Dark Step fighting style as their main weapon. This NPC has a total of 20,000 HP and does around 1,500 to 1,700 damage per hit. Once you complete the quest for this guy, you get a whopping 105 million XP along with 14,200 belly. Next NPCs are called the Ice Cream Commanders. These guys are level 2,150, they have a total of 20,350 HP, and they deal around 2,700 damage per hit. Pretty powerful if you ask me. The rewards for completing the quest for these guys is 107,500,000 XP along with 14,300 belly. Next up we got the boss of Ice Cream Land, and this is the Cake Queen herself. She's a level 2,175 boss, and she has a whopping 261,000 HP, and she uses the Buddy Sword as her weapon. Once you complete the quest for defeating her, you get a whopping 2 billion XP along with 30,000 belly, which makes her the most powerful boss in Blox Fruits. Next mini island we're moving on to is called Cake Land, and the first NPC here is called the Cookie Crafter. And these NPCs are level 2,200, they use the Warden Sword as their weapon, and they have 20,750 HP, and they deal around 2,600 to 2,700 damage per hit. Once you complete the quest for these guys, you get 14,200 belly along with 110 million XP. Next NPCs are called the Cake Guard. These guys use the triple katana as their weapon, and they can also use the Z move from it. They have a total of 21,000 HP, and they deal around 1,300 to 1,600 damage per hit. To fight these guys, it's recommended to be at least level 2,225, and once you finish the quest for them, you get 14,300 belly along with 112,500,000 XP, making fighting them definitely worth it. Next up we got the Baking Staff, and these guys are level 2,250 enemies, and they use the basic combat style as their weapon, and they can also use the X move from it, unlike a lot of other NPCs. They have a total of 21,000 HP, and they deal around a whopping 2,000 damage per hit. To accept the quest for these guys, it's recommended to be at least level 2,250, and after completing the quest you get 14,400 belly along with 115 million XP. Next up we got the Head Bakers, and these guys are NPCs that are level 2,275, and these guys guys use the flame fruit as their weapon. Each of these guys has a total of 21,475 HP, and they deal a huge amount of damage depending on what flame fruit ability they use. To fight these guys, it's recommended to be at least level 2275, and the rewards you get from completing the quest is 14,500 belly along with 117,500,000 XP. Moving on to the next mini island, this one is called Chocolate Land, and the first NPC here is called the Cocoa Warrior. These guys have around 21,500 HP, and they also give you a chance of dropping Conjured Cocoa, and this will let you fight the Dough King later on when you're trying to awaken your nice dough fruit. Once you complete the quest for these guys, you get 14,500 belly along with 115 million XP. Next NPC is called the Chocolate Bar Battler. To fight these guys, it's recommended to be at least level 2,325, and they give you a huge amount of XP and money once you complete their quest. Next NPC we got is called the Sweet Thief, and this NPC is level 2,350. It obviously has aura like every other enemy in the third sea, but they do use the basic combat style to fight, making them a bit worse than a bunch of other NPCs. Once you complete the quest for these guys, they give you a total of 125 million XP along with 14,800 belly. The next ones are called the Candy Rebels, and these guys are level 2,375, and there's a total of 5 of them in one place, and they take approximately 30 seconds to respawn. Once you complete the quest for these guys, you get a whopping 127,500,000 XP along with 14,900 belly. Moving on to the next island, this one is called Candy Cane Land, and it was actually added in a winter update. Pretty fitting if you ask me. First NPCs here are called the Candy Pirates. These guys are level 2,400, and they have hockey, but they do use the basic combat style, but don't let that fool you. Each of these guys has a total of 24,000 HP, and they deal around 2,047 damage, and they hit pretty fast. Once you complete the quest for these guys, you get 129 million XP, along with 14,800 belly. Moving on to the next NPCs, these guys are called Snow Demons, and they're pretty demonic looking. They're level 2,424, and to complete the quest for these guys, you gotta defeat 8 of them. Each of these guys has 25,000 HP, and they deal around 2,100 damage per hit. Once you complete the quest for these guys, you get a whopping 131 million XP, along with 14,900 belly.